They're right. Welcome, Milo. All right. So here we are. It is the second Sunday in October, and Mark Shishin Gelula is here to talk to us today. And I've known Shishin, I was thinking, how long ago was it that you came to our house on
2011.
Humphrey? 2011. Oh my God, it's been 12 years that we met. And Shishin has become a member. He served on our board of directors. He was our president. And
That's why all of this gray hair.
and yes, and he taught medical students at University of Illinois at Chicago at the medical school. He taught them mindfulness amongst other things. And so we really welcome him back to talk about Dogen today.
Thank you, Roshi. Good morning, everybody. The mic, I've got it. Can you all hear me? Yeah, good. And you all can hear me, so it's nice to see everybody here. And great to see a dear getting older friend, Susan. Great to see you. Great to be here with everybody. I'm going to talk about Dogen, but I'm going to talk also really about Fukanzazengi, which in a minute we're going to share on the screen. Everybody here has it, recommending zazen to all people. It's Dogen's first instruction to his own students about sitting zazen. I just want to say that Dogen's not easy. I've been studying Dogen for 6 years with Genzan Kanel, and I will tell you, he's not easy at all. But I found that if you just let his words wash over you, don't worry about understanding it necessarily, just let them wash over you, and some of that will enter your pores, so to speak. So let's begin by reading this together. And I'm not talking about chanting, just read it. And Joshin,
well, I'm gonna share it online for those of you online, so you can read it. Just give me a minute.
But I hope everybody there is going to be muted. Otherwise, it'll be a cacophony. But here, I'd like you to all read out loud with me.
Everyone online is muted except me for right now. So just give me a minute.
Sure. And while Roshi's doing that, I want to say that I probably won't finish this. It's just going to be, whatever. Okay. All right. Fukanzazengi. I'd like you all to read with me. Recommending zazen to all people. Ehi Dogen. The real way circulates everywhere. How could it require practice or enlightenment? The essential teaching is fully available. How could it ever be necessary? Furthermore, the entire mirror is free of dust. Why take steps to polish it? Nothing is separate from this very place. Why journey away? And yet, if you miss the mark, even by a strand of hair, you are as distant as heaven from earth. If the slightest discrimination occurs, you will be lost in confusion. You could be proud of your understanding and have abundant realization, or acquire outstanding wisdom and attain the way by clarifying the mind. Still, if you are wandering about in your head, you may miss the vital path of letting your body leap. You should observe the example of Buddhi Shakyamuni of the Jeta Grove, who practiced sitting up straight for 6 years, even though he was gifted with intrinsic wisdom. Still celebrated is the master Bodhidharma of Shaolin Temple, who sat facing the wall for 9 years, although he had already received the mind seal. Ancient sages were like this, who nowadays does not need to practice as they did. Hence, you should stop searching for phrases and chasing after words. Take the backward step and turn the light inward. Your body-mind of itself will drop off, and your original face will appear. If you want to attain just this, Immediately practice just this. For zazen, a quiet room is appropriate. Drink and eat in moderation. Let go of all involvements and let myriad things rest. Do not think good or bad. Do not judge right or wrong. Stop conscious endeavor and analytic introspection. Do not try to become a Buddha. How could being a Buddha be limited to sitting or not sitting? In an appropriate place for sitting, set out a thick mat and put a round cushion on top of it. Sit in either the full or half lotus posture. For the full lotus posture, first place the right foot on the left, and then the left foot on the right thigh. For the half lotus posture, place the left foot on the right thigh. Loosen the robes and belts and arrange them in an orderly way. Then place the right hand palm up on the left foot, and then the left foot hand on the right hand, with the tips of the thumbs lightly touching each other. Sit straight up without leaning to the right or left, and without bending forward or backward. The ears should be in line with the shoulders and the nose in line with the navel. Rest the tongue against the roof of the mouth with lips and teeth closed. And breathe gently through the nose. Having adjusted your body in this manner, take a breath and exhale fully. Then sway your body to left and right. Now sit steadfastly and think not thinking. How do you think not thinking? Beyond thinking. This is the essential art of zazen. The zazen I speak of is not learning meditation. It is simply the Dharma gate of enjoyment and ease. It is the practice realization of complete enlightenment. Realize the fundamental point free from the binding of nets and baskets. Once you experience it, you are like a dragon swimming in the water or a tiger reposing in the mountains. Know that the true Dharma emerges of itself, clearing away hindrances and distractions. When you stand up from sitting, move your body slowly and rise calmly without haste. We understand from past precedents that going beyond ordinary and sacred, where sitting and standing are effortless and boundless, depends solely on the power of zazen. Furthermore, bringing forth the turning point by using a finger, a pole, a needle, or a mallet, or leading people to enlightenment with a whisk, a fist, a stick, or a shout, cannot be understood by discriminatory thinking. How can it be understood by the use of supernatural powers? Zazen is an awesome presence outside form and color. How is it not the path preceding concept? Thus, do not be concerned with who is wise and who is stupid. Do not discriminate the sharp from the dull. To practice wholeheartedly is the true endeavor of the way. Practice realization is not defiled with specialness. It is a matter for every day. Now in this world and in other worlds, in India and China, Buddha ancestors equally carry the Buddha seal and teach to sit immersed in steadfastness. Although circumstances may vary in 1,000 ways, wholeheartedly practice zazen. It brings fully to the way. Why give up the sitting platform of your own house and wander uselessly in the dust of a remote land? Once a wrong step is taken, you depart from the way. Having received a human life, do not waste the passing moments. Already upholding the Buddha way, why would you indulge in the sparks from a flint? After all, form is like a dewdrop on the grass. Human-like, like a flash of lightning, transient and illusory, gone in a moment. Honored practitioners of Zen, Please do not grope for the elephant or try to grasp the true dragon. Strive to hit the mark by directly pointing. Revere the mind that goes beyond study and surpasses all doings. Experience the enlightenment of the Buddhas, correctly inheriting the samadhi of the ancestors. Practice thusness continuously, and you will be thus. The treasury will be open of itself. Sorry, I misread that last line. The treasury will open of itself for you to use as you wish. Written in Kandandori Monastery on the 15th day, the mid-year, 7th month of the first year of the Tempuku era, 1233. So, yes, I said, amazing and difficult for most of us. There are at least two versions of this. The first version is not very often used anymore. This is called the popular version. And of course, there are lots of translations of it. I have here, I can make this available through Joshin Roshi or June. This is 6 different translations of Fukanzazengi. It's kind of interesting to just compare them if you really want to get into it. So at any rate, did anything stand out for anybody? Susan.
Near the end, a small 3-line paragraph. Having received the human life, do not waste the passing moments.
Mm-hmm.
Already upholding the Buddha way, why would you indulge in the sparks from a flint? Mm-hmm. After all, form is like a dewdrop on the grass. Human life is like a flash of lightning, transient and illusory, gone in a moment. Reminds me of my favorite Emily Dickinson poem.
Which is?
I think it's 974, and it's about a sheet of lightning defining place, and then it's gone. So I think that sparks from a flint is so alive.
It's alive and so quick.
So quick.
It's just momentary, like a flash of lightning. Except that we think that Dogen, when he was writing about this, people were playing with flints, you know? It was like a little game, we think. So he's also talking about, don't play games, you know? Yeah, I love that line, that little paragraph too, Susan, thank you. Anybody online? Anything come up for you? Just, okay, all right. Oh, Pat, sorry, I missed it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Ration. Mm-hmm. What to sit on. Mm-hmm. Yes, that whole section. So there are like 3 parts or 3.5 parts to this. The first part, he's talking about why do we want to do this at all, and maybe he tells us why. Then he's telling us how to sit, but he can't even tell us how to sit without falling back into his philosophical ruminations. And then he goes on to tell us more about how to sit. And then he goes more back into what will happen to us possibly if we're sitting and practicing zazen in this way. Well, anyway, just think about zazen for a moment in the way as we go through this, as Dogen does. Ruth Ozeski had a great novel, a couple of novels. The first one that I read was A Tale for Time Being. And in it, there are 2 narrators, excuse me, there are 2 narrators, and one of them is the grandmother, and the grandmother decides to go up a mountain in Japan and join a very tiny little temple there. She doesn't, it's not exactly, I can't remember why she goes up there, but the point is she gets up there and she just finds a life of loving kindness practicing zazen. And it wasn't her goal. She just happened to do that and find that. And I think it's really important to understand that when we sit zazen, we do not want to sit with a goal. We just want to practice zazen, sitting, and Dogen is going to get into that more. But I think I want to tell you a little bit before we go any further about Dogen. He was born in 1200. It makes it really easy for us to figure out how old he was when he did different things. His father was apparently a very prominent general, a Minamoto general at the emperor's court. And unfortunately for Dogen and Dogen's mother, his father died when Dogen was 2. And his mother didn't want to get caught in the political cyclone of the court without her husband, so she left with Dogen. And then, unfortunately, when he was about 7, his mother died. He had a family, she had a family, I guess she had a brother, his uncle, Dogen's uncle, and he adopted Dogen and took care of him. During the funeral, his mother's funeral, it was said that he was watching the incense smoke disappear. And that was, remember, 7 years old, and that was his first recognition of impermanence. It seems to me a little unusual that he hadn't recognized impermanence already with his father and his mother both dying, but this is the myth, that goes along with everything. He was very precocious, as you can imagine, and at 8, he entered a temple at Heije, and when he was there, he studied the Abhidharma. Okay. This huge compendium. Aided by a monk, he decided he was really going to be a monk. So while he was there, he learned that everybody has Buddha nature. And that was his moment of great doubt, because he wondered, well, if everybody has Buddha nature, why are we practicing? And this question became his koan, and it stayed with him through his life. And we hear him dealing with that in this piece that we just read. So anyway, I'm going to skip to when he was 23 years old, which was 1223. He had moved to Kenninji Temple by that time. He's older, and he and the abbot Myozen became very close, and they decided to travel to China to seek authentic teaching. Remember, China was the center of Chan, or Zen Buddhism as we know it today, and that was the place to go. There was very little Zen, almost probably none really taught at that time in Japan. It was so at any rate, I don't want to go on there. I was going to go off on a tangent. So they travel among the 5 mountains of 5 mountain temples of China, but unfortunately, it doesn't work out for them. They don't find authentic teaching, and Myozen, who was much older than Dogen, becomes quite ill and dies. So Dogen is about ready to go home, and he's on the dock waiting for his ship to go home, or his boat to go home. Really, no ships then, huh? And he meets a monk who says to him, wait, don't go home. He hears the story, what's going on. And he says, there's a teacher that I think you really want to meet, and his name is Rujing. And Dogen does go, and he meets Rujing, and Rujing becomes his teacher, ultimately giving him transmission. 2 things, so that's one of the things about Rujing. He gives Dogen transmission. The second thing is that he recommended to all practitioners that they adhere solely to just sitting as the gateway to casting off body-mind. So this was the first time that Dogen heard that phrase, cast off body-mind, and we heard it in here. The next thing is that Dogen, of course, didn't know what the heck that meant, casting off body-mind. And they were sitting in a sesshin, and the monk next to Dogen fell asleep. And Rujing jumped up and admonished him, and he said to him, "Studying zazen is a matter of casting off body and mind. Why are you engaged in single-minded slumber rather than a single-minded meditative sitting?" Hearing this, Dogen suddenly had his great awakening. And then he went to Rujing, and they talked about it, and I'm not going to tell you that whole story, but basically that was the great moment for Dogen. So he returned in 1227, and in 1227 he began to teach, and this is when we heard about Fukanzazengi. It says here 1223. As with everything, there's some confusion. Here it says 1227. I wrote that down. Something else I read here in Kaz's translation, it says 1223. We know he was between 23 and 27 years old when he wrote Fukanzazengi. So the first line, "The real way circulates everywhere. How could it require practice enlightenment?" Really, how could the real way be everywhere? This is the question that Dogen asked, and no Tendai priest, which was the basic form of Zen at that time, or monk could answer it, and that eventually drove him to China. The essential teaching is fully available. How could effort be necessary? Right? So why is effort necessary? It's right here all the time, right? Again, it's everything you can see when we pay attention. It's here nonetheless, even if we're not paying it attention. The beauty of what we learn in Buddhism. It's not hidden, it's the Dharma. It's all right here, fully available. So why work at it? Furthermore, the entire mirror is free of dust. It's clean. Everything is here. There's nothing in the way. Don't make things in the way. Dogen loves references to stories and koans. There are several here in Fukanzazengi, and when he says free of dust, we think he's referring to the Platform Sutra, where in the Platform Sutra, there's the story of the novice who's been who comes to this temple, and he wants to be a monk, and the abbot says to him, "What do you know? You don't know anything." He couldn't even read. He was illiterate. He says, "Go into the kitchen and work with the cook and just clean the rice." So this monk cleaned the rice, washed it, dehusked it for 5 years. Then the abbot decided he was going to retire. And he said, "I'm going to have a contest, and I want everybody to write a verse about their knowledge, showing their knowledge." So the head monk writes a story, a little gatha. "Our body is a Bodhi tree. The mind is like a propped up mirror. Always keep it polished. Don't let it gather dust." And of course, everybody said, "Oh my gosh, that's it. And the monk, this illiterate monk, hears that everybody's all excited, that probably this guy is going to be the abbot, and he says, "Can somebody read that to me?" So they read it to him, and he thinks, "I've got something better than that." And so he dictates something better, what he thinks is better. "Bodhi isn't some kind of tree. This mirror doesn't have a stand. Our Buddha nature is forever clear. Where do you get this dust? The mind is the Bodhi tree. The body is the mirror's stand. The mirror itself is so clear, dust has no place to land." Well, the abbot saw this, and he says, "Who wrote that?" And he finds out, and there's a whole story. So he gives him his robe and his bowl, and he says, "Get out of here, because they're going to come after you, because you shouldn't be the abbot, they think." And there's a whole another further story here. But Dogen loved that story. So Dogen is saying in Fukanzazengi, hey, everything is clean, free of dust, it's clear. So why are we making an effort to polish it? Why work at something that doesn't need work? Remember about polishing, we're going to get it again in a few minutes. Final line of these first introductory lines. Nothing is separate from this very place. Why journey away? I personally think this is all about not having to be anywhere else. Why do you think you've just got to be anywhere else? You're already here. This is just the way, just right here, right now. No matter where you are, you're just right here. We're just right here, right now, in our body, in this moment, right here. This Dharma, always functioning in this way, it is thusness, suchness. Don't we do this, by the way, thinking there's some other place to be? You know, oh, I've got to catch the train. Oh, I've got to do this. I've got to do this. Some place better to be. I've got to get a better house. Oh, my apartment's not big enough. There's too much noise outside. This is the big issue for us in our life, in our apartment. Some other place that we've got to go. I don't know. It all seems crazy to me. It really does. I'm reading what I wrote here. It seems crazy to me. I don't know, but it seems crazy to me that all that effort, when it's all right here in front of us. Of course, I didn't always know this, and I often forget, but it helps to recall these 4 points. They are so central to what I talked about in my last talk, what Chris correctly identified as my continuous practice, central to our continuous practice. And I think in this last part, Dogen is again reminding us that everything is right in front of us. I think that after all the years of pondering the key central questions of his life, this is what he has arrived at, that everything is right in front of us, right here, right now. So he told us what not to do, right? Those 4 lines. But, he has a but, and yet, he says. Everything is and yet. When I was first studying this piece, I was caught up by it. I said, wait a minute, and yet? You mean there's got to be more? I didn't get it. I really didn't get it. Maybe I get a little more now. And yet, if you miss the mark, even by a strand of hair, you are as distant as heaven from earth. If the slightest discrimination occurs, you'll be lost in confusion. You could be proud of your understanding and have abundant realization, or acquire outstanding wisdom and attain the way by clarifying the mind. Still, if you're wandering about in your head, you may miss the vital path of letting your body leap. That's pretty clear, isn't it? Thank you. Thank you. Actually, if we enter into judgmentalism, if we consider alternate facts, if we conduct discriminate thinking during zazen, then we've lost the path. We will be totally lost in confusion, especially if we're wandering around in our heads. We lose everything. Our body is our practice. We've lost the body-mind connection. I think he's saying this when he says, if there's a hair's breadth of distance, it's the distance between heaven and earth. We need to always remind ourselves in moments like that, in moments of such confusion that come with duality, that there really is no duality. We make it up. We really do. It's all just one thing. There's no point in harboring such thoughts in the middle of zazen. It's going to get us nowhere to start thinking about other things. It's just let go of it. Because anything you're thinking about, you're creating. You're making it up.
You may miss the vital path of letting your body leap. What do you make of that?
I like that too. I'm, I said at the beginning, I'm not sure I fully understand everything. And this is a line that stands out for me too, Susan, for maybe the same reason it stands out for you. Here he's talking about everything in our heads, and all of a sudden he's talking about our body. And I think what he's saying is there's this mind-body connection. And at the beginning we talked about where is I said to you that he says I'm trying to find my words here. Casting off body and mind. They are one thing, our body and mind. And I think he means by this, and golly knows, my teacher is probably going to correct me when he watches this, and I don't know. But it seems to me that when we are sitting in our heads, and we also have to attend to our body at the same time and know where we are. I don't know if that's right, Susan, but anyway. Okay, can we go on? You should observe the example of Buddha Shakyamuni of the Jeta Grove, who practiced sitting up straight for 6 years, even though he was gifted with intrinsic wisdom. The Buddha. Still celebrated is the master Bodhidharma of Shaolin Temple, who sat facing the wall for 9 years, although he had already received the mind seal. Ancient sages were like this. Who nowadays does not need to practice as they did? Roshi, are you still able to put up that picture of Bodhidharma and Dogen? Oh my. Well, we're not getting it. We're only getting not even half a picture. Ah, there we are. So we don't really know what somebody from the 8th century looked like on the left, Bodhidharma. You'll see pictures of him with no eyelids. You'll see pictures of him sitting. Here he is standing steadfastly. But supposedly that's Bodhidharma. And on the right is pretty much, there are lots of pictures of Dogen, and they all tend to look like this. So, and there he is sitting. I'm not sure how old he was there. Oh, thank you, Roshi. So, who doesn't need to sit? These great sages sat 6 years, 9 years, every day. Bodhidharma sat facing a wall. I'm sure he had got up to eat. I'm sure he got up to go to the bathroom. I'm sure he got up periodically to stretch. But he sat regularly, all the time, facing that wall. And in many temples, we don't do this here, but in many temples, they sit sesshin, facing the wall. They sit zazen, facing the wall. And the reason is just out of the tradition that Bodhidharma established. So what I learned from this is that we have many wonderful examples of ancestors, beginning with the greatest ancestor among them, Shakyamuni, Buddha, and the incredibly patient and persistent Bodhidharma, each of whom practiced. So yes, we should be practicing. Hence, next line, hence you should stop searching for phrases and chasing after words. Take the backward step and turn the light inward. Wow, this is really an important line. I don't care if we don't go any further today. This is, to me, one of the most critical lines in the whole piece. So stop searching for phrases and chasing after words. Any ideas of what he means by that? We've been talking a lot about, yes, Milo. Could we hear Milo? Thank you.
Right, thank you. I could be wrong.
Oh, don't worry about right or wrong. Absolutely, I could be wrong through this whole thing. Totally.
When I first read it, it made me think the whole paragraph. It made me think about ego in psychology. And how we tend to build it up over time, and eventually we're wearing a mask, whether we realize it or not. And,
wearing a mask?
Like we wear like a different
a mask, I got you. I was starting to think about COVID mask. Yeah,
and
okay.
So when he says stop searching for phrases and chasing after words, I think he's saying don't concern yourself with trying to put a name onto what you're experiencing. Good. Just allow it to happen. Good.
Okay, some other ideas? June?
Roshi June? Yeah, to me, that's like, a lot of people just read and never practice, never sit. I'm not saying the reading is bad,
No.
but if they
Well,
don't
certainly this
see-
is true in our culture today. Yeah, I'm not sure in his culture how many of those monks could actually read, which is why he gave a lot of talks. And I'm only learning what I just said from my course. I haven't read that in any place else. But I want to say that there's another part to this, I think, also, that stop chasing after words, phrases, and stop searching for phrases and chasing after words. Do you know when you sit and an idea comes up and you get lost in your thoughts? I think he's very much talking about that. Because, you know, the wonderful thing about us is that we're human. And what humans can do that no other animal that we know of, at least in the way that we do, can, is think. We have enormous brains, and we think, and we can't stop thinking. So Dogen is not saying, don't think. He's saying, stop chasing after your thoughts. Stop chasing after those words. But Milo's point also to that issue, our ego is what drives us, that negative, although I'm not sure it's in the Freudian sense of ego that we talk about ego in Buddhism, of course. Take the backward step and turn the light inward. How about that phrase? You're shaking your head. Like, does that mean something to you? You can't articulate it without a microphone.
Please pause your thought. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's just looking inwards, being present with yourself.
Looking inward, being private with yourself, looking inward, stop looking outward. Stop paying attention to all that crap out there. Stop worrying about the thoughts out there. What's happening here? Move inward. And then, well, we'll get to this right now. Thank you, An. Dogen didn't create everything he wrote. He was extremely widely read and used many references in his writing. He took the idea of turning inward from a number of sources. Shitu alludes to it in his Song of the Grass-Roofed Hermitage, which I know many of you here are familiar with. And I remember we studied it or discussed it a few years ago online. Turn around the light to shine within, then just return, Shitu says in the Song of the Grass-Roofed Hermitage. And here's another he probably heard of in a talk in China. I found this in Transmission of the Lamp. You should know that the original nature of this body is at the same time that of Buddha. That there is nothing lacking in the original. There is great activity in your bladder, and on top of a pile of night soil, light shining bright round as a pearl, but you are still able to have faith in that. But are you still able to have faith in that? If unable to have faith, you will forever sink into a deep pit in an ocean of faults. But if you can turn the light around, then in one instant, heart and thoughts are put to rest. At this time, confusions, afflictions, and foolish sentiments suddenly vanish. All karmic limitations turn into the sweet dew of the finest ghee. You know what ghee, I mean, the finest ghee, that wonderful butter, to peace and happiness in the nation. But if you can turn the light around, then in one instant, heart and thoughts are put to rest. At this time, confusions, afflictions, and foolish sentiments suddenly vanish. Norman Fisher says that in pursuing words and so forth, Dogen doesn't just mean intellectual understanding. Norman says it means pursuing anything, any object that can be grasped. And that's what I meant when stop worrying about what's out there. Anything that can be accumulated and measured, including experiences, emotions, and insights. It means, he says, reaching out and grabbing something outwardly, looking for something that you don't have and trying to get hold of it. It even means trying to get hold of peace of mind or happiness. That's what we do, he says. What we are always doing in life, reaching out, groping forward, something that's missing. Instead, Dogen says, step back, look inward, reverse your course, your impulse, look where you are. Okay, it's clear. Stop thinking, right? Stop searching for an answer. Just be here now. You know, Be Here Now, that wonderful book. So each of the moments of your sitting zazen, as you sit, letting go of those ideas that you find yourself chasing, just take that moment and just turn your presence inward. I'm going to tell you how I do that. I do it all the time because I'm constantly thinking of stuff and I catch myself. And so the way I turn myself inward is I first notice, oh yeah. And I take a breath and I really first attune to my breath, go back to my breath. And then I just kind of try to settle into myself again. Because somehow when I find myself caught up in all that stuff, my body kind of changes. It's hard for me to explain to anybody else, but it doesn't feel right. But I don't notice that first. I first sort of notice this up here. I wish I had it the other way around, that I would notice my body first, but it doesn't happen. Okay, Dogen then says, your body mind of itself will drop off and your original face will appear. It certainly doesn't appear that neither Buddha nor Bodhidharma practiced with a goal. If they did, I think it couldn't have been more than just to sit zazen and to think non-thinking and to allow the importance of Buddha nature reveal itself over and over again. If you want to attain just this, immediately practice just this moment, just this. Should I take my glasses off? Hi. Okay, Susan, thank you. I just had my picture taken. So if you want to attain just this, just let yourself have your picture taken. If you want to attain just this, immediately practice just this. There's no rush to do this, guys. When we allow our body-mind to drop off and attain just this, when we take that backward step, we are right then and there in it. I really think that. We're right there and then in it. In whatever it is, in having my picture taken, in taking my glasses off, in sitting here looking at my wife, in looking at you guys, in feeling my butt on the chair. As long as I don't ponder it, it's good. But as soon as I ponder it, I'm caught, and it might as well be the distance between heaven and hell. Right? Do you all get that now? That point? Is it beginning to come? Sky says, maybe. Okay. Okay, now instructions. I'm going to skip that. As Pat said, it's very concrete. Dogen is pretty clear to most of us Westerners in this part. Yes, I'm sorry, I just lost my place here, though. Okay, no, that's okay. Yep. Yes. Okay, so yes, and that was the point I was trying to make about when in my own, when I sit zazen, that I wish I could feel first my body, but when I notice my mind and I let go of those thoughts and I breathe, then my body is somehow different. And Dogen makes this point that he learned in that moment of sitting in Sesshin when Rujing said to the monk, stop falling asleep, sit up straight, let body and mind fall away. Just be here in the moment breathing without thought. And I think many people, including myself, believe that our thoughts and our bodies are one. My name, Shishin. Shin is heart, and heart is mind and heart in Japanese. So it is one. And actually, the connection is very close. You know, for me, when I'm practicing. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Anybody else on that line? Okay, let go of all involvements and let myriad things rest. Do not think good or bad. Do not judge right or wrong. Stop conscious behavior and analytic introspection. Can't be more concrete than that. And then the next line, most certainly, do not try to become a Buddha. Okay, now here's a koan that I think all of you that have studied koans with Roshis probably know this koan. I love this. I'm just going to read part of the koan. Master Nangaku went to Master Baso and asked, now, great monk, what's your intention in practicing zazen? Baso Doitsu said, I intend to become a Buddha. Nangaku Eijo picked up a piece of tile, a piece of stone, and began to polish it on a stone in front of Master Baso's hut. Baso said, Master, what are you doing? Eijo said, I'm polishing this tile to make it into a mirror. Baso said, how can polishing a tile make it into a mirror? Eijo said, how can sitting in zazen make you into a Buddha? Don't try to become a Buddha. And why don't you want to try to become a Buddha? You're already a Buddha, guys. Wow. This is deep in me. Sorry, I'm going to see some tears here. Sorry. You're already a Buddha. We're all already Buddhas. Every one of us. The most evil person you can think of, and I'm thinking of an awful person right now who lives in Mar-a-Lago. That person is a Buddha. Maybe they don't see their Buddha nature, but they are a Buddha. We're all Buddhas. So don't try to become a Buddha. And when you try, besides which, if you try to become a Buddha, you're setting up a goal, you're making an effort, you're starting to think about things. It's not how we practice zazen. I've learned early that sitting zazen is not simply a mental practice. Probably you have too, or we've just been talking about this. As those of you who have sat for 7 days sesshin know, it's very much a physical practice. Every time I sit, I have to first adjust myself, or I will have pain in my knee, my right knee now, my left one's fixed, and I sit on a chair when I sit zazen. Before I had knee surgery on my left knee, I had awful problems. So there's also the problem of the neck, the shoulders, the back. What do we do with the hands? All of these exemplify the physical aspects of zazen, and of course the breathing that I mentioned too, right? Further, what about emotions that arise that affect our breath? Among the greatest of the physical issues we face is with our breathing. I remember reading something about that Sylvia Boorstein was saying that she was sitting in sesshin in one of her books. She was sitting in sesshin and somebody near her was bothering her because he couldn't find his breath. And it was this long, this had to be 20 years ago. I was just getting into Buddhism and reading that. And I said, what does that mean? Couldn't find his breath. So Dogen tells us to find an appropriate place to sit and how to sit, but we aren't limited to full or half lotus. Look around this room, like when we were sitting before. An was the only person sitting with his legs crossed, right? Oh, Pat, I guess Pat was too on the chair, but An was on a zafu. How many of us sat in either? There's many older teachers and younger people sit on chairs. It doesn't seem to affect the quality of their sitting or their teaching, the teachers, okay? Sit straight up. Let's just skip all of that. Let me see what time we got here. Ooh, it's 10 till. How would you like me to handle this? I can stop right there, or I can zip ahead to some stuff for another 5 minutes or so. It's up to me. Hey, folks online, give me a thumbs up or down. Can I go on for a little bit, or do you want me? Okay, Sky's got a question.
Well, I've been chewing on this phrase, not thinking, so
Yes.
that might be
Good. Okay,
that
so we're going to
paragraph
go.
might be a good way to.
We're going to go a little further.
close.
Then I'm going to skip that stuff about where to sit and how to sit, and think, not thinking. How do you think not think? How do you think non-thinking, beyond thinking? This is the essential art of zazen. First of all, I want to say, notice that Tanahashi, when he translated this, said, and think not thinking, and then he said, how do you think non-thinking? I don't think that was an accident on Kaz's part to shift from not to non. So not is this moment, okay? Don't think. Non-thinking is a process, it's ongoing, okay? Like when we practice the vows, many times people say, do not do such and such, don't kill. But we practice non-killing, okay? So I really think that's very important. Now, what do we mean by what does he mean by non-thinking or not thinking? Beyond thinking. How do we go beyond thinking? Well, he told us earlier. He told us by letting go of all involvements, letting myriad things rest, not thinking good or bad, not judging right or wrong, stopping conscious endeavor and analytic introspection, just letting words drop. And he's going to tell us later on, let words drop. Don't hang on to them. So when I first read this, Sky, I was bollocks by this. I was bollocks by this for a long time. And I think most people are. What is non-thinking? How can we not think? But it means don't keep focusing on things. Let it go. And when we practice, let the thoughts, let the emotions drop away. And let it drop away from your body too. Does that help? Does that answer? I think in this actual moment, this is what I wrote, by the way. I think in this actual moment, when you turn the backward step is the moment of non-thinking. Because when you're no longer grasping, unless of course you're grasping at turning inward. And then he says, I think I'm going to pretty well stop here, even though we could go on. Maybe I can come back another time and finish this. The zazen I speak of is not learning meditation. What is it? It is simply the Dharma gate of enjoyment and ease. It is the practice realization of complete enlightenment. Realize the fundamental point, free from the binding of nets and baskets. It's not meditation. It's simply the Dharma gate of enjoyment and ease. I think that a lot of people today, particularly people who are prone to New Age thinking, think that that's right, okay, I'll meditate and it's going to give me enjoyment and ease. But that's not at all what it is. Enjoyment and ease comes from letting go of your thoughts, of hanging on to all of those things that he said, again, all involvements and myriad things, thinking about good and bad, right or wrong, judgments, conscious endeavors, analytic introspections, if we let go of all of those things, then we are simply in the Dharma gate of enjoyment and ease. We are there. It's the practice realization of complete enlightenment. Whew. Practice realization is a whole big thing, and I'm not, I think it's going to take too long to talk about practice realization right now. I think we should stop with, it's simply the Dharma gate of enjoyment and ease, and rest there. It's probably 5 till now, right? Yeah. So any other, from online, any comments, any questions? Is this just too much? Too little? Your silence is deafening. How about here? Anything? Yes, Sky.
Your comment.
And by the way, guys, I am not a Dogen scholar, you know. I'm just like you guys. I've been studying Dogen for 6 years, but Pat will tell you I read this thing and studied it over and over and over again for weeks. And still don't, you know. So, Sky.
I found this a useful talk, and the emphasis on zazen, which is so essential to this tradition. And I liked the distinction you made between not thinking and non-thinking.
And non-thinking. Mm-hmm.
I've always struggled with the idea of not thinking, and it impacts my sitting practice sometimes, that not understanding that point well, because I'll try to shut down my thoughts, and then they just build up sort of in a shadowy way.
Yes.
And
I love that phrase, in a shadowy way. They can become our shadows, can't they?
Yeah, and then they become hindrances and distractions.
Exactly.
Like, as they return, because so anyways, that was a really useful talk and a good point of clarification that you made for me, and I think that will improve my zazen. Thank you.
I'm glad. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I really love that you ended this wonderful talk with the word ease, because there's nothing easy about your study or what you shared with us today. But in fact, it's all about ease and acceptance.
I wish I could live the life that I talk about.
Yeah, don't we?
We all do, right? Which is why I practice. I mean, you know. Yes, Roshi.
Lovely talk, Shishin.
Oh,
I love that phrase, turning the light inward. And I think it's also helpful to think of that, not just in terms of thinking, but all the senses, because we easily make the dualistic split by our projections through our sight. So that's why, you know, a lot of Zen centers, they do sit facing the wall. And the instruction in Zazen is to, you know, lower the eyes. And so we project through all of the senses. So for me, when I think of turning the light inward, I think of that way that I have of objectifying the world. And whether I do it through thought or I do it through my senses, I sort of think turning the light inward is an invitation to let go of all of that, which is kind of mysterious, but also wonderful at the same time.
oh, lovely. Yes, thank you. I want to say something else, if I can, to Sky. You know, when thoughts for me come up, I want to hang on to them because they're so damned interesting very often, or frightening and revealing to me. And I want, like, I'll be really forthcoming here. We took care of our grandsons the last week for 4 days, an almost 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, and we were exhausted, and they were exhausting. I really got angry, really angry out loud at my older grandson. And so I sat with that quite a bit, and I was quite upset about how I behaved, and I kept thinking, oh, I should really pay it and think about this during my zazen. But every time it came up, I said, no, just let that go. Because if I hang on to it and think about it a lot, it will become more than a shadow. I'll become obsessed with it. And then, where's my zazen? So I know very much what you mean. And I think it's important to make that point that we want to let go. We don't want to hang on to thoughts. And I think Roshi's point about our projections, which is what I was trying to talk about, not use the word projection. And of course, Milo was talking about projections also when he was talking about ego in the psychoanalytic way. I didn't use the word projections, but when I was talking about we make everything, when I said that much earlier, we make everything with our mind. And by the way, one other thing, just while we're at this point about looking at the wall, which Roshi added to, you know, a lot of times we're told to keep our eyes open, as Roshi said, and cast downward. But some people have said you don't want to keep your eyes closed, because if you keep your eyes closed, more thoughts will come in. I have found it doesn't make a bit of difference. I've tried it both ways. Thoughts come whether my eyes are closed or whether they're open. I don't know about the rest of you, but for me, yes, June.
Thank you for a beautiful talk on zazen, so important and so wonderful to be reminded that Shakyamuni Buddha and Bodhidharma, they practiced.
So that's a nice way of ending this today. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you, for being here online with us today. Have a wonderful Sunday. Those of you here in the room, please join us for the kinship hour for some light refreshments and drinks. Thank you.